So Disney Adventure World is finally here. We're going to talk about it. We're going to review all of the things. There's so much to see and do, so much to talk about. I can't wait to get into it. For those of you that have been following this project from the start, we can go all the way back to 2002. Walt Disney Studios Park opened in Disneyland Paris. It was planned even way back in 1987 when they originally planned the resort. It opened, let's face it, and I think everybody would agree with this, it's a very lackluster park when it opened. There's not much to do. There's not much greenery. It's very industrial. Even the park as it expanded outwards, a lot of the things you see today, like Cars, Race Rally, Crush's Coaster, Tower of Terror, none of that was there back when it all first started. The troubled past really sort of haunted it, and they cut off a lot of the park with the studio tram tour, and it really boxed the park into this sort of kind of strange banana shape, and they couldn't do much with it. There's sort of this anecdote that Michael Eisner took the board to the park pre-opening, and they're walking around the park, and one of the members of the board says to Michael, "Okay, that's great, but where's the theme park?" And he says, "Well, you're standing in it." And it ultimately led to the beginning of the Save Disney movement. There's stories of dinners happening in Paris straight after that evening tour of the park, and they start plotting removing Michael Eisner from the CEO position of the Walt Disney Company. Over time, the park did improve. You had Tower of Terror that opened. You had Cars Race Rally. You had Crush's Coaster. Toy Story Playland. And then you had also La Place de Remy, which opened in 2014. That really felt like a sort of pivotal moment for the resort. I sort of remember vividly sitting there on a preview day and thinking, this feels like a big moment. This is a first sort of land that you stand in and you go, the whole thing feels quote unquote Disney quality. And I think ultimately that led us to where we were going, because 3 years later they announced the biggest expansion that the Walt Disney Studios Park, and really probably any Disney park in the world, was going to undergo. And it was going to undergo a big lake area. It was going to solve that problem of no water. The concept art looked green, so it solved the problem of lack of greenery. It was going to include the Avengers Campus area, which did open in 2022. It was going to include a Frozen area, and it was going to include a Star Wars area. The Star Wars area, for reasons, is not going to happen. That's now being replaced with a Lion King land, which is under construction. You can see when you're walking around the lake area now that is coming, but we've got a few years to wait on that one. This was a much needed change for this park. It is hard to say how much this was needed when you look at what the park was, and what the park still is today, of course, because obviously Disney Adventure World at the time of recording this is not open. And when you transition into this extension of Disney Adventure World, it feels like a separate park. And that could become a problem at some point. It could be that you have that old and you have that new. But I think it's too difficult to say that that's a definite at this stage, because I can say it now because it does feel like it. But when you have all the walkways leading into it, because there are multiple walkways, you can access it from around Cars Road Trip. You can access it from Toy Story Playland. You can access it from near the Tower of Terror, that sort of entrance right there. You can access it from Avengers Campus. So there's multiple routes into this. And it's difficult to say, we had to go a certain way in, which was sort of around the construction walls. This was all part of a preview. So it's easy for me to say that this feels like two parks. And that might be the case when it opens. But also, maybe the walkways and how you seamlessly transition from one part of the park into another part of the park, maybe that changes things. Possibly. We'll see. So we're going to talk about all of the aspects of this park and this expansion. There's a lot to talk about. There's essentially 3 new lands, a couple of new attractions, plenty of dining, plenty of entertainment. So there's a lot to talk about right here. I think for the interests of clarity, this preview was provided by Disney. Everything we saw on the day was advertised by Disney. The food we ate was provided by Disney. And so, just to be clear, whilst we paid for everything else, travel, accommodation, park tickets around the event, not to go to the event, of course, that was included, but all of that was paid by me, and then the actual admission to the event and everything inside it was provided by Disney. So for many people, when you go into this expansion for the very first time, what you'll experience is Adventure Way. And Adventure Way is this quite long, actually, garden-style walkway that transitions you from World Premiere all the way up to the lakeside area, which is being called Adventure Bay. And this walkway is quite wide, quite open, very green, actually. There's plenty of greenery, there's plenty of benches. One thing to say is that if you're going to Disney Adventure World during this initial opening period, and I don't know exactly when this will change, is that a lot of the vegetation and a lot of the greenery, it clearly is going to take a little bit of time to grow in. It feels like you can see it and it's all there and it is growing. But I think in a year or maybe 2 years' time, this will look completely different. The trees will be a lot larger. It'll be probably a lusher green. I think that will be quite an interesting change to watch over the next couple of years. But let's talk about the walkway. Like I say, it's very wide. And what you have is this sort of really wide walk that's kind of like almost like a road. And then you have these separators down the side. That's it's almost like a small planter. And then down the sort of sidewalks, let's call it, you have seating areas, but very secluded. It feels like it's detached from the walkway whilst also still being part of it. And the trees, if you're going there in the evening, the trees all have lights in them. The sidewalks have these really nice sort of arched lighting rigs with popcorn lighting. And it kind of feels, it's almost like the way the Main Street USA is lit. And I mean that in a really good way, because Main Street USA, no matter what time you're in the park, is a really pleasant place to be. And I think this is true for this area as well. I think no matter what time you are in this area, it's going to be a pleasant place to be. So as you're walking down, and we're going to take it from World Premiere, we'll take it from, on your left-hand side, just as you sort of enter into this expansion area, there is they're calling it the English Gardens. So if you go off to your left, you'll see it with the popcorn stand. There's a popcorn stand right on the left, and you can go in there. And you go into this area that has a gazebo. It has seating, and the seating's sort of laid out looking towards the gazebo. And that's important because the gazebo has, they're calling it a gazebo musical moment, which is, it's a pretty rubbish name, but it is exactly that. So when we were in that area of the park, sort of 5, 6, maybe even 7 times a day, I can't remember the exact count, they have a couple of musicians, and Flynn and Rapunzel are dancing with the musicians at the same time. It's a really sweet little moment. If you really want to see Rapunzel and Flynn in this exact example, you're going to see them. You're going to get pretty close to them. It's not a meet and greet location. I think that's important to say. But it is very much a sort of musical animation. And it brings life to the area. Like, I think, I mean, we'll talk about the BGM in a moment, but having that live music and having people moving around and doing things really changes it from what could be quite a static area of the park. I think one of the issues that they could have fallen into, and I'm pleased to say they have not, is when you have a really long walkway with a few things happening on it, but nothing, if you weren't to have that gazebo show, for example, and if you weren't to have, and we'll be talking about it in a few minutes, the Raiponce Tangled Spin, that would be a really boring walkway. It would be a long path to nowhere. And they have, well, not to nowhere, it would obviously go to the lake, but again, the lake has that issue where Frozen's at the top of it and there's not much around it. So you'd have a long walk and there wouldn't be much to see or do. They have not fallen into that trap, which is really good to see. They've really thought about it. That musical moment is delightful. And also, if you're able to go in, well, you can go in, during the non-show hours, what you will also see is there are 3 benches that I can think of with character statues. So I saw one with Winnie the Pooh, Pongo from 101 Dalmatians, and I'm trying to think of what the third one was. It's escaped me, but there is a third one, and it's delightful. It's just a really nice place to be, and I think they've made a really nice job on that. So let's get back to Adventure Way. Maybe about a quarter of the way down, there is a pavement that goes off to the right, and that pavement leads straight into Toy Story Playland. And the transition they've created there, again, is really nice. So you come off Adventure Way, and the pavement sort of does this kind of S shape that sort of keeps Toy Story Playland in view, but just beyond you, sort of creating that whole weenie thing. But it also keeps Adventure Way very separate, because they are very different lands. What you see is the new Woody Toy Story Playland sign, and then you keep going around the S, and then there's Jessie as well. And again, much like the rest of Adventure Way, they have included plenty of seating. There are lots of benches on this walkway, and I think it works really nice. The gardens are also delightful. It sort of creates that garden look that we keep talking about on Adventure Way, but it follows through now into Toy Story Playland, and I think it works really nicely. I think they've done a really good job on that, and I think people will enjoy it. My only sort of question is going to be that these really beautiful gardens with these beautiful flowers and lots of colors, these I mentioned earlier that some of the areas might need to be grown into. Toy Story Playland is the opposite. I think Toy Story Playland has completely grown in already. It looks outstanding. But what they haven't done is they haven't fenced it off. And I think there's sort of a risk that people will go trampling all over these. You see it quite a lot in Disneyland Paris, where if something isn't fenced off, people will just go on it. And I think that would be a shame. But going back to Adventure Way, I think the best thing I can sort of compare it to, and it does, I think they trailed it when they first revealed Adventure Way, but I think it's true. You walk down this, and the best way to describe it to somebody who has not been there before, but maybe you've been to Central Paris, is when you walk from the Place de la Concorde to the Louvre, you have this really beautiful garden walkway. And it's beautifully tree-lined, and there's lots of seating, and there's lots of sort of things to see that are not necessarily big attractions, but they're there. And it really does feel like that. I think they've done a great job on it. it's a really pleasant place to be. And as you keep going down, on the left-hand side, just after the gazebo, so the gazebo is where Avengers Campus intersects in. On the left-hand side, you have the construction area for the Up attraction. So the Up attraction, when it opens, which it doesn't look particularly close. If I was going to guess, I would think it probably next year, 2027. It's the Up sort of chair spinner, like the Silly Symphony swings, if you're familiar with those in Disney California Adventure. And directly opposite that is a Raiponce Tangled Spin. They have done more than just create the attraction here. So they have also created a little gazebo garden and everything, whereas all the railings and the benches, they're all painted green on Adventure Way, they sort of transition to a pink or purple. It's more purple. And you have a gazebo, and you have a small pond type area. I don't think I describe it anything more than a pond. Inside the pond is the gondola from Frozen. I think people are going to love taking photos of that. There's like I don't think it's a cherry blossom tree. I'm not a horticulturalist, but it has that sort of cherry blossom type bloom to it, and I think it really looks beautiful, actually. It's a really nice little area. And then we move on to Raiponce Tangled Spin. For me, this was the surprise. I have been looking at this attraction and sort of going, oh, why do we just have another teacup ride? That's what this is, by the way. It's just a teacup ride that's themed to Tangled. I was wrong. This is a surprise to me. I really, really like this attraction. It is very sweet. It is about a minute long. It features really nice renditions of a few different songs from Tangled. So, At Last I See the Light, I've Got a Dream, the Corona dance scene. The lighting package in it is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And if you can ride this one at night, 100% do it, because the colors come alive at night. It is, like I say, the surprise hit. I really liked it, more than I thought I was ever going to. I rode it sort of 5 or 6 times, and not because I wanted to get like a feeling of the attraction, but because I just loved it. Like I did that the first time. I sort of sat there and I was thinking, okay, what do I think of this? And then later in the day, I just came back and I just kept looping on it. I just couldn't stop going on it. I thought it was really, really sweet. It's a great little attraction. And not everything has to be an e-ticket, okay? That's sort of one of the things that I think we forget sometimes. Not everything has to be the next big roller coaster. The next big Frozen Ever After actually is a good example. Not everything has to be that. Sometimes things have to be these really nice little family attractions, and something that, you know, in the fullness of time, I don't think you're going to be waiting too long for this attraction, sort of in a couple of years' time. I think you'll get on it pretty fast. I think initially you'll have to wait, of course, but this is the kind of attraction that every park needs, and they built it. And it goes beyond just the teacups. They have really considered what it should look like. How does it fit into the Tangled story? What should the art style be? It's really, really nice. And then as you leave the attraction, just next door is a small merchandise kiosk. It's really small inside, but it has a selection of Tangled merchandise, and a lot of it is exclusive to this location. So if you want something Tangled related, you need to go to that store. They have sort of Raiponce Tangled Spin, plushes, ears, Christmas tree decorations, all of that kind of thing. It's all in that store. It's really small, but great selection. If you love Tangled, you definitely need to go to this store. So then we come to Adventure Bay, and Adventure Bay is a really large lake area, and it's, I think the best way to describe it, if you're a Disney Parks fan, it's somewhat equivalent, I would say, to the size of the water area in Disney California Adventure, that sort of Paradise Gardens type area. It's quite large. It takes, if you're going to do the whole loop of it, it takes somewhere in the region of 10 to 15 minutes to actually walk all the way around it. So pretty big. And this area has a lot of food and drink. A lot. So if you sort of go left, you have quite a big, I think that one's a hot dog stand on the left there. And as you go right, you have sort of 4 or 5 different small chalets of food and drink. And the food and drink there ranges from, like I said, hot dogs to bread bowls filled with like salads and things. There was like a choux pastry, I think. Lots of different food and drink. I know Disney's coming out with the number 15 different food or drink locations. I don't think it feels like that much, but it is significant. What I will say is that the prices of the food is elevated. So for those bread buns, you're paying sort of 14 to 15 euros. So for a snack stand that doesn't have a seating location, it's an elevated price, let's be honest here. So as you walk around the lake, one of the big issues that you're going to see initially is there is not much going on around the lake. It is very much, at the moment, a walkway to the world of Frozen. And you will be walking for sort of 5 or so minutes with really beautiful gardens, beautiful vegetation, a really sweet background music loop, but there's not much else going on. And I think that's probably going to be the weakness. And one of the things we'll keep coming back to is that I think what they have is fantastic. It's a really good start. And what it does is it opens up Disney Adventure World, as it's now called, for future expansion. But it does just feel a little bit unfinished. But anyway, and sightlines. We should probably talk about sightlines a little bit. One of the things, when you're walking around at least Disneyland Park, you do not see show buildings. And by show buildings, for anybody who doesn't know, I mean the building that sort of sits the attraction. So, for example, Phantom Manor, you have the manor itself, and then sort of somewhere behind it is a big sort of warehouse-style building that houses everything that you actually see. The problem here in Disney Adventure World right now, and I don't know whether the trees growing will change this. I hope and suspect it might. But you see a lot of the show buildings. You know, you see the Avengers Flight Force show building. You see pretty much all of the construction area for the Lion King attraction. Because you're elevated on the lakeside area, you can see the construction office. You can see the sort of the earth removal works going on right now. You can even see the test track, so that they built sort of near World of Frozen actually a test track for the Lion King attraction. And you can see it. It is just there, right in front of you. And it feels kind of strange. But obviously over time that probably will change. But for now, the sightlines are not the best. So as we keep walking around Adventure Bay, we have, so as you go left around the bay from the park entrance, There is not much. There is that snack stand and then nothing all the way around to Frozen. Some really nice seating areas. There are beautiful seating areas across the whole lake area. There's these kind of planters and you kind of go down towards the lake and there's lots of seating, lots of greenery. But there's not much. If you go left, there's pretty much nothing all the way to Frozen. If you go right, you have the snack stands. So you have one on the left, multiple on the right. And you could also go to Cars Road Trip this way. You also have the Mickey Mouse meet and greet location, and that's about halfway around. So if you want to go and see a lot of things, and you don't want to take that sort of plainer walk, go right. The problem you might find is about 2 to 3 hours before the evening show, Cascade of Lights, that suddenly becomes not an option to you. They close that so that they can raise the bridge so the evening show can come passing through. So bear that in mind. I think the evening show we had was at 10 p.m. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock sharp, that bridge was closed. You have to go around the other side. And that stays closed for the entire evening, by the way. It's not like Epcot where they sort of raise it and you can keep going. A couple of hours later, that's it. Once that's closed, it's closed. But what you have, it's a good place to see the show on that side. And we'll talk about the show in some detail a little bit later. They have these sort of tiered viewing areas. Pretty much like World of Color, actually. So again, in Paradise Gardens and World of Color, you have a section right on the water, and then I think a second section, maybe a third as well. You have that here as well. So continuing all the way around, you also then come into the world of Frozen. And the world of Frozen is really nice. It is very sweet. I think it's going to potentially have a crowd problem. It feels small. Whereas Adventure Way and Adventure Bay, all of the walkways are very wide. That is not the case here. It sort of narrows in, which is great, because I think it should. But at least during that initial period where that's the only thing at this side of the park, could become a bit of a crowding problem, I think. Inside the world of Frozen, you have some restrooms, very nice restrooms. You have a beautiful fountain, which looks out onto the town of Arendelle. I can see this being probably the area that's going to get the most photo opportunities. It is fantastic. If you want a picture in front of the Arendelle Castle or the clock tower, in front of the fountain is going to be the place that you do that. On the left-hand side, you then have the Nordic Crowns Tavern before going into Frozen Ever After, which is right in front of you. The Arendelle Boutique is next door to that. And then the meet and greet with Anna and Elsa. Sort of on the right-hand side as you walk down, there's a kind of nice marina-type area that has I think the best way to describe it is like a hut, although it's a very large hut, that has the Fjord View store. Again, the colors on the buildings are outstanding. It is a beautiful area. I think you're going to love it. It does feel like you are in the world of Frozen. And that is exactly what they wanted you to feel. And you do feel that. It is really, really nice. And it's what this park needed. It feels very similar to La Place de Remy, especially in size, actually. I would actually say it feels that kind of equivalence. I think if you know that size, it's kind of similar, actually. And I think, yeah, like I say, I think that could become a bottleneck at some point. It sort of remains to be seen how this area of the park deals with the crowd. And I think people will linger in this area. And I think they'll linger because it is a long way from anything else. And I think people will try and make the most of their time in this area and try not to come back to it if they can help it. that might be something that is a concern in the future. But let's talk about Frozen Ever After. So Frozen Ever After is a boat ride that, if you are aware of the story of the ride from Epcot or Hong Kong Disneyland, it is the same attraction. It is that Maelstrom attraction where, you know, you board a boat, you go through these scenes. It has a couple of little party tricks where you start to, you know, the boat goes backwards through some scenes. But I think it works in the park. I think it's really good. The queue line's quite nice. There's plenty of things to see. Plenty of Easter eggs in the queue line. You know, you go through the Arendelle village, you go through buildings within Arendelle. It's really sweet. The oaken screen where, you know, he's in the sauna and he comes and greets you, that's there. It's a very funny gag. You know, it's really good. The queue line's good. And then you go on the attraction, and the attraction is also really good. It is quite long. It's about 7 to 8 minutes. The animatronics are the new style that Walt Disney World now have. So they're not the projected faces. They are the animated faces. And they look exactly film-like. They look really nice. You don't have that kind of weirdness of the projection anymore. They look exactly like you expect. And you go scene by scene. You know, you go first into Sven and Olaf preparing to meet you. And the lighting effect in this room is frankly breathtaking. I think this attraction makes an entrance as soon as you begin it. And I think that's a really good move. It puts you in a good headspace. You know, you sort of go, okay, I know what I'm getting now. It's great. You then move into Grandpappy Troll telling the story of Anna and Elsa to the troll children. It's, again, a very sweet room. It sort of changes the mood very quickly, which I think it's a good thing. I really like it. And then you go up the lift hill and you meet Queen Elsa, sorry. And she's there, she's singing Let It Go. You know, you remove backwards through the scene, and then you go into a room with Marshmallow, and you go back forwards down a pretty significant drop, actually. The drop is not nothing, and it takes your photo. If you like ride photos, when you're going down that second drop, the one you go forwards, that's where you should be posing for your picture. It happens there. And then you go through Arendelle, Anna and Elsa greet you to finish off the attraction. It's really sweet. I really quite like it. I think the park needed an attraction like this. I think kids are gonna love it. I think adults are gonna love it too. If you're a Frozen fan, it's really nice. Language-wise, pretty much all of it's in English. There's a few bits of French. All the songs are in English. Dialogue, sort of 50-50, I would say. So it leans towards the English language more than it does the French language. So coming out of the attraction, you exit into the store, the Arendelle Boutique. Lots of great things going on in there. Some really nice Frozen merchandise. I think the star actually, and one that you might not actually see straight away, but you should look for them, are these postcards. So there are 3 postcards like this, and they cost €5. They're a really nice postcard design, but more than that, what you get is they will pre-stamp them for you. And this stamp is valid for postage anywhere in the world. So your €5 includes that. The stamp is themed to Anna and Elsa. So it's a Kingdom of Arendelle stamp. Bring a pen with you to World of Frozen, because you're going to want to fill this postcard out in the land. And the reason why is just outside the store, there is a post box. And if you post the postcard in that post box, they will also place a Arendelle postmark on the postcard. So it's a really cool souvenir, and it's actually great value. If you like postcards and you enjoy sending postcards, I think €5 for one of those is outstanding. So right next to that is the Anna and Elsa meet and greet. So you go into the Arendelle Castle, a beautiful large hall, which is a sort of seated waiting area. If you're familiar with the Avengers Campus meet and greet location, very similar to that in setup. There are benches, you'll get called into a room and Anna and Elsa will be there. Photo pass is there. And it's a really nice little meet and greet. You know, they're in their Frozen 2 outfits, so it's the Queen Anna and the Queen Elsa costumes. It's really nice. As you leave the meet and greet as well, they have the photo pass on the wall, so you can scan your photo pass ticket and you can have a look at the photos that were taken. Also, in World of Frozen then, you have the Celebration at Arendelle show. Now this is a lakeside show, so there is a small water area just off Adventure Bay. So it's its own separate secluded thing. And what this is there are 3, I think, barges that come onto the show. And Kristoff and Olaf are preparing the Snowflower Festival. And there's lots of songs. A lot of the songs have been reworked by the Lopez's for this show. And I think it works really nicely. The only thing I will say about this show that is negative is you're going to need to be in the front row. The problem you have is that the show, every single position to view it is elevated. But the show happens quite far down. And so no matter where you're standing, you are looking down onto the show. If you're not in the first row, maybe 2 rows, you're not going to see this. There's not going to be a great viewing position for you. So you're going to want to show up early. And you're going to want to stand just that bridge I mentioned going off around Adventure Bay, the one that raises. You're going to want to stand sort of between, it's not a lighthouse, but there's like a little castle turret type thing, and the actual land. You're going to want to stand in that kind of area. And the reason is because they have performers on the marina low down as well. So you're going to want to stand around there. The show's really sweet. Songs are great. The Olaf animatronic is Olaf. I did not expect to have an emotional connection to the animatronic figure, but you see it and you go, oh my gosh, Olaf is in front of me right now. He moves like Olaf. He talks like Olaf. It's really good. It's a really good animatronic figure. I think this is exactly... Yeah, if this is the future of Disney park shows and the way they can bring characters to life, we're in a really good position. The show's great. It does snow, and you can't really beat the snow in Arendelle. I think that's a really special moment. I think, you know, as you leave, you will always remember that you were in Arendelle and it snowed. I think you're going to love that. So speaking of shows, there's a marching band show. Again, this is probably something you've seen before, actually. So if you went to the Disney Music Festival last year, this was the show that took place on Main Street, USA. Pretty much identical. And it goes all the way down Adventure Way. It's live musicians with Minnie Mouse. Very sort of Disneyland vibes from the band. They're really good. There's really not much to say about the show. They walk from the little restaurant on the left, they come out there, they go across to the main planter area, down Adventure Way, stop, do a little show stop, and then they exit out. Really good. They're very talented musicians. It's great to see live music in the Disneyland Paris parks. It's been quite a long time since we've had daily operations of live music. I think it's really nice. I also saw plenty of Streetmosphere. That's something to sort of celebrate as well. So alongside the marching band, there are other bands that are performing around Adventure Bay. I saw a musician band. It wasn't a marching band, but really not far off, actually. And they were performing several times a day. And that mostly seems to be happening on the left side. So remember I said the right side is sort of the side that has the most happening in terms of physical things. Entertainment-wise, I think they're going to try and move you towards the left side. I think that's a good move. I think it creates that interest where I don't think it really exists. So I think that's a good thing. I also saw a mime walking around. So if you like mimes, it's very French. When you see those films, the cliches of Paris is always that there's a mime. The guy looks like that. He has a striped shirt. He's got the white face. He's got the beret. He's that, basically. Like mimes or hate them, there he is. So we move on to dining. And I want to talk about the Regal View Lounge and the Nordic Crowns Tavern. So that's where we were invited to eat and drink. So the Regal View Lounge is a no reservation bar area. And it's in the same building as the restaurant. So you walk into the Regal View and there's sort of two sides. There's the with reservation and without reservation. The bar is not particularly large. It's bigger than anything you've seen before, but there's going to be quite a lengthy wait for that. And the reason for that is that when you walk in, you are greeted with this wonderful window. And the window looks onto the world of Frozen, and you are elevated on the lake. It is stunning. No complaints at all. It is a really nice bar area. It's themed to the Disney princesses. The seating is outstanding. But that view is going to be something that people really want to see. And I think you're going to wait for it. When it comes to the drinks, I had the Princely Eden, I think it was called. Again, it was really good. It's not pre-mixed. It's made fresh by the bartender in the restaurant. It was good, very strong. I'll say that. But it was a really solid cocktail. And one of the things that our server mentioned to us is that each of the drinks, the signature cocktails that is themed to a season. So on top of the sort of royal theme, each drink has a seasonal theme. And they will play a game with you, and I'm not going to give away the answer here, but they will play a game with you as to what season your drink represents. And it's kind of fun. It's really fun when you take that sip and you sit there and you go, okay, well, what is this then? Is this a winter drink? Is it a summer drink? It's really quite fun, actually. I enjoyed that. And we got it right, which is always a bonus. So then we go to the Nordic Crowns Tavern. And this is the Frozen restaurant in World of Frozen. Let's talk about the interior. The interior is nice. Themed to Frozen, looks great. Exactly what you expect from the rest of the land. Lots of things to look at on the walls. Really plentiful, big dining room. Well, the ordering room is big. You order on these touchscreen kiosks. But, and there is a big but, for how popular this restaurant is, there is not enough seating. We were a part of this media event, and there were maybe 300 to 400 people in the land total. It took a long time to find a seat. And that's going to be a problem. When this opens to guests, there is going to be a problem with finding seats. And that feels major. This is a brand new restaurant. They have size. They don't have a big size constraint. And they feel like they've just boxed themselves in with how small this is. The food, so you've got a few options. You have salmon, you have meatballs, and you have vegan meatballs, and then you can accompany that with potatoes and vegetables, like a mashed potato, or quinoa. I went for the turkey meatball option. Regular price is €22, and that comes with a dessert and a drink. So it arrived, and there are 5 meatballs, a pretty small mashed potato scoop, and a pile of carrots. It's not good. The portion size is small, but you can kind of get away with a small portion size if the food is good. The food is not good. The meatballs are quite bland. The sauce, the cranberry sauce, was really not very good. The potato is probably the star of the lot. It's difficult to go too far wrong with mashed potato. There's not enough of it, of course, and the carrots. There was also like sugar snap peas in there, but very few of them. Like sort of from my big scoop of vegetables, maybe like 3 or 4. They tasted of absolutely nothing. They tasted like water. I got to admit, I really disappointed in the food. I don't think you should pay €22 for it. I really struggle to recommend that. €22 for that, you can go spend your money somewhere else. Like go to Stark Factory, which I still don't think is particularly bad. Go to Five Guys, go to even the Hollywood Gardens restaurant in World Premiere. I don't think you need to go here. Really disappointing. The Tutti Frutti ice cream, I can't remember the name of the actual sundae. Yeah, look, it's Tutti Frutti ice cream. It looks good. It melts probably too fast. The room is kind of warm. So you might want to take that into account when you order your dessert. There are options that are not ice cream. You might want to take that option because the room is warm, the ice cream melts fast. It is Tutti Frutti ice cream. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It is fine, very much fine. It's a really disappointing restaurant. I expected slightly better. I know people, I was dining with people that were eating the salmon and eating the vegan meatballs. The people that ate the vegan meatballs didn't like those either, and the salmon kind of got mixed reviews. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. I think that's going to depend very much if you're a fish person. So plan accordingly. The vegan meatballs are also €22, and the salmon is €24. So we get to the evening and Disney Cascade of Lights. So this is a new drones, projections, pyrotechnic show that takes place on Adventure Bay. So this is a 360-degree show. You can stand anywhere around the lake and you can see it. So that's a really good thing. I don't feel like you're going to have to turn up particularly early to get a good spot for this, which is a good piece of news. I stood near a projector, and I did not know this. I did not pick the spot near a projector. There are 4 projectors. There's east, west, and then north and south. They're quite big boxes, so it might be worth, if you're visiting the park, to sort of scope out where those projectors are. You're going to want to stand near them. So I stood really close to one of these, and I had a good view of the projections. I later found out, so I posted online that I thought that you could stand just about anywhere. And I still sort of stand by that, but from what I've heard, that if you are slightly between those 2 projectors, you don't see much. And I don't think the projections add a lot to the show anyway, but I think given that you can be, pre-warned, I think you should know that, and I think you should go look for those places to go and stand and watch. I think if you're stood on that tiered area that I talked about a little bit earlier, I think you should be okay actually. I think you'll be fine standing there. If you're standing near Regal View, I think you'll be fine. If you're stood near the Frozen Fountain, should be fine. Anywhere in between them, you might lose the projection. The show is really quite nice. It is musical, drones, and the drones do really cool things actually. And if you're interested in the tech of it, it's really fun to see the drones flying right in front of you. You get really close to them, and unlike when you're watching the drones in Disneyland Park during Tales of Magic, which are unfortunately leaving us very soon, you can't see the drones. You see them here, and you see them light up, and it's really cool from a tech perspective to see it. The pyrotechnics are good. The water on they have like little lights that fly around the lake. That's really quite fun. It is very much a musical medley show. There's not a lot of emotion to it, and there's not a lot of storytelling to it. I think it's one of the weaknesses, I think. Whilst you have those sort of wow moments, and there are many of them, and I was stood there going, oh, wow, okay, that looks really cool. There's a lot of that looks cool, but then the show ends and you do sort of stand there and you go, okay, there was no story here. There was no emotion here. And I think Disney shows do it best when they are making you feel something. So you go back to Disney Dreams back in 2012. That show made you feel something. Every night you came away and you felt that emotion from the show. And I think you do get that with Tales of Magic. There is an emotion there, and I quite like that. That doesn't exist here. What you have is good visuals. There's a Hercules section, a Zootopia section, which will make you dance because those songs from Gazelle and Zootopia, Try Everything, Turn the Floor into a Zoo song. They're very much bops. And, they play out really nicely. The songs from Moana play out nicely. The Avengers theme happens. There's a really cute little up bit. But you don't feel anything. The show sort of happens. It's about 15 minutes, so it's kind of on the short side as well. But a short show doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. You could have a 15-minute short, sharp show and it could be absolutely exceptional, and that would be fine. This is worth it. This is worth seeing. It's really impressive what they do with the drones and how they make it so that technology that's allowing them to do a 360-degree show. I think that's worth talking about because I think the way they play with the drones, really quite good. Much like the American parks, and this is great as well actually, about 30 minutes before the Adventure Way and Adventure Bay background music transitions into this very upbeat Disney medley. And I think people will respond to that. It really increases the mood of the show as well. I think the more you can get people dancing and feeling like they've got something to really look forward to, the American parks do it really, really well. And I think here they've done quite well with Adventure Bay as well. So I mentioned the background music as well. I sort of talked about that and then I looked over it and I didn't really come back to it. The background music around Adventure Way and Adventure Bay, I think it might be one of my favorite Disney background musics. It really sets that emotional mood. It's really calming. It's emotional calming. I think it's really quite outstanding, and it makes that area really pleasant to be in. The whole package is really quite good. And I think what you have here is the thing they needed to achieve. Back in 2017, you had that big expansion plan, but you had the studio tram tour, and it blocked the park off. You couldn't do much. This expansion blows that out of the water. It expands the footprint of Disney Adventure World into a really big park. It is huge. It is a game-changing expansion. And I think they've done a really good job at just blowing it wide open. This is the expansion that allows them to do the next 15 to 20 years of expansions. That's where you're at. You're at this place where you stand there and you go, oh, there is a lot of possibilities right here. There is a lot they can do. And I think that's the key. It really is important. And I think they've got to a point where they can do quite a lot of good things. And I think it's going to be really exciting. I think watching Lion King open will be extremely exciting because I think that's going to change the way you see this park. So at the moment, Frozen's great, and it is a game-changing expansion in many, many ways, including that. I think when Lion King comes and joins it, and that lake area starts to feel full, it won't be full, but it will feel full. That's the time that you will look at Disney Adventure World and you go, okay, that's the park. There is a second park here now, and there is a second full day park. I don't think they're there yet, but I think they're really, really close. And I think this is exactly what this park needed. This is where the investment went. It is extremely, extremely good. I really like it. And I can't wait to explore it even more. I can't wait to see it with guests. I can't wait to see the greenery grow. I can't wait to see expansions opening up like the Alp attraction. I can't wait to see the Lion King attraction open. And I can't wait to see what they do just in general next. I think there's lots of places they can go with this. And I think it's really exciting to think about. And I can't wait to see it. So that's my thoughts. I know this has been quite a long video. It's been quite a rambly video in some places. But I really wanted to just collate everything. It's very unscripted. All I did was I made like a note of everything I wanted to talk about. But I think we got through everything. This is exciting. And I can't wait for you to experience it. Thank you for watching.